it for now. This is an azimuth compass. I think I told you guys about this. This is really nothing. I just hooked this up real quick so I can make sure that everything is working. Unfortunately, that's the tape I had at the time. We're going to roll that on here. I'm going to clean that, and let's just squirt there. These things new. The cheapest that I've seen out there is 800 bucks. That's new. Used, I have seen them out there for as little as 400. That one there didn't really do anything for me. Looks like it had some scratches and things on it. But, hey, you know, if it works. However, most of them are going used between 5 and 6. Now, I was going to give it to a friend of mine. But then I started thinking about it. She has a compass. It's not an azimuth, but she has a compass. So she really doesn't need this. And it's a sailboat, so there's not a whole lot of room for a lot of extras. And I hate to give it to her and have her not use it, you know, and then the next thing you know, I could have made $400-500 bucks on it. So I am going to give her the radio, however. I got a handheld marine radio that I want to give her. You can always use a handheld marine radio, regardless if you're on a lake or you're saltwater, whatever. What a dirty. Purple power. Purple stuff. I just don't want to take off the decal. It's got that little layer. You can kind of just see it. Just enough to where it's not there. You know, it's not bright. It's not white. It's kind of like white, but there's like a little smoker's haze on it. And I don't smoke. You know what it is? It's been sitting around in here for what? Well, let me see. We sold the boat. The last one we had. In 07, 08. It's one of those things where, you know, to have a mortgage on the boat of $1,200-1,400 a month, and then another $10,000 a year to store it, you know, summer and winter. The summer slip was $7,400 a year, and then you had to pay for electricity. The water, you kind of came with the slip. And then if you left it in the water in the wintertime, well, when we were living on it, I wouldn't leave it in the water unless I was living on it. But you take it out of the water for the, for the winter months, and then the next thing you know, you're going to drop another $4 grand for them to take it out and, block it on land. And then if you want to cover it, that's another $3 grand. Yeah. So, and then we're thinking, well, it's a nice boat. We definitely got our use on it. Without a doubt, we definitely got our uses. I mean, we weren't the so-called, party boat where you just sit on the boat and, gossip and drink wine and have classes. We used to go. We did the Hudson River. We go to New York for dinner. We go up to stay at Chelsea Pier, and then we pull into Chelsea Pier rather, and then we would take a cab into Little Italy for dinner. Stuff like that. And take a cab back, walk around a little bit the pier. It's nice actually. Got a lot going on there. You got bowling alleys and everything. And it was safe back then. I don't know how it is now, but Chelsea Pier for the most part is pretty decent. You don't have to worry about it too much. They got a nice security operation going there. What they had. I don't know how it is now. And then we go to sleep, watch TV, and watch the ferries go back and forth to New London, New Jersey. And we get up in the morning and we start up and take a cruise upriver and head up to West Point area and up around all that. Check out the little towns along the way. Pull in, have dinner up that way, lunch or something. It was really an enjoyable thing. We enjoyed it. We let John, the manager, know, just in case, for two reasons. You want to give him a float plan. You want to let him know where you're going, how long you're going to be, and when you expect to come back. Now, a good marina wants that, and a good marina will watch it. So if you say you're going to be back at 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, and it's 5:30, and you're not back, and nobody's heard from you, they'll call you, either on the radio or on the phone. Originally it used to be the radio. But then naturally the phones came into play. And that's the way it used to work. That's the reason for a float plan. And then you also notify the marina that you're going to. And let them know roughly when you're going to be there. And again, if they're a good marina, they will be waiting. If they don't hear from you or see you by a certain time, they're going to try to make contact with you. And naturally, a float plan doesn't just go with that. You want somebody in the family or a good friend to know your plan, and that you will call them, every hour, every 2 hours, or in between. For instance, if we're going to New York City for dinner, we leave Branford, you know, Mamaroneck, not Mamaroneck, yeah, anyway, Greenwich and all that area. That's kind of like halfway, you know, so you give them a call, how you doing? Everything's fine, the weather's good, the boat's running good, we're halfway there, we'll give you a call when we get there unless there's an emergency. How long? Figure half hour, 40 minutes, you know. And then, you know, you give them an idea how much time, and naturally, once you get parked or docked and everything, and give them a call. We're here, everything's fine. You know, because if you don't get the call, they know where you were last, where you were heading, and the way that you were heading. That's all part of the float plan. You know, and at that point, they can say, ding-a-ling-a-ling, you had somebody, you know, 50-foot sea ray. They were heading south. They were going to New York City, Chelsea Pier for dinner. The last I heard from them, they were in Greenwich, Connecticut, and they were on their way into New York. So now the Coast Guard kind of has an idea where to go, where to look. You know, and that's kind of how it all happens. So a float plan is important. I don't care if you're on the water, in the salt, and the sound, wherever you're at. If you're in a lake, if the lakes are large and you can't see the whole lake, all right, so that if somebody shoots up a flare, somebody on land will see it. At that point, you want somebody to know where you're at and where you're going. So always. Even when we go on patrol, we would let them know how many people are on board, and you know, sometimes we would give them the actual, you know, rank and serial number, but how many people are on board, and they will tell us the check-in time. You know, half hour, 40 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on the weather, because you do a report, you know, to see if we're going to go out, or not. You know, because if everything is too bad, well, then you're not going to go out. But you know, you got to call them with the numbers that you come up with, and they'll decide if you're going to go out or not. But anyway, once you're gone, they expect to hear from you. You know, if they said 20 minutes or a half an hour, every 20 minutes or half hour or whatever the time was, you got to check in on the radio. If they don't, they'll be checking in and calling you. So it's just one of those things. All right, now what I want to do is I want to get a picture of these, because I'm actually going to put them on the net. I believe Craigslist probably. Let me cover that purple wire. I don't need that to be seen. I should, no, you know what, I'm going to do it in there. I should plug it in so they can see that it's on. And see that it works. And then I'll dress up the wires. Hold on a minute, I'm going to shut you down.